The snowflakes fell gently around them, casting a serene silence over the desolate landscape. A young girl, no more than 10 years old, stood barefoot in the snow, clutching a swaddled baby to her chest. Her eyes, filled with a mix of fear and determination, locked onto the cowboy kneeling before her. He was a rugged man, with a weary face and a worn leather duster coat. The girl's voice trembled as she spoke, "Can you buy us, mister?" The cowboy's gaze shifted from the girl to the woman standing behind her, her eyes downcast, her hands clasped together. The cowboy's dilemma. The cowboy's eyes narrowed, his mind racing with the implications of the girl's words. He had been riding solo for weeks, avoiding towns and people, trying to escape the memories that haunted him. But something about this scene struck a chord within him. The girl's desperation, the woman's resignation, and the baby's innocence all tugged at his heartstrings. He hesitated, unsure of what to do. A glimpse into their lives. As the cowboy looked at the woman, he saw the faintest glimmer of hope in her eyes. She was young, probably not much older than he was, with a beauty that seemed to be fading under the weight of her circumstances. The cowboy's gaze lingered on her face, and he noticed the faint bruises on her cheeks, the weariness in her eyes. He sensed a story behind her gaze, a story of hardship and struggle. The girl's plea. The girl's voice cut through the cowboy's thoughts, "We're hungry, mister. We haven't eaten in days." The cowboy's eyes dropped to the baby in her arms, and he saw the tiny face, red and pinched, with eyes that seemed to be searching for something. The cowboy's heart ached as he realized the gravity of their situation. A moment of connection. The cowboy reached out, his hand enveloping the girl's, and for a moment, they just stood there, connected by a thread of understanding. The woman's eyes flickered up, meeting the cowboy's, and he saw a spark of gratitude there. The cowboy felt a pang of compassion, and his resolve began to crumble. The weight of responsibility. As the cowboy looked at the girl, the woman, and the baby, he felt the weight of responsibility settling upon him. He knew that he couldn't just ride away, leaving them to fend for themselves. He thought of his own past, of the struggles he had faced, and the people who had helped him along the way. A decision made. The cowboy took a deep breath, his mind made up. "I'll help you," he said, his voice firm. "I'll take you to the next town, and we'll get you some food and shelter." The girl's face lit up, and the woman's eyes welled up with tears. The journey begins. As they set off, the cowboy took the lead, his horse plodding through the snow. The girl walked beside him, the baby still clutched in her arms, while the woman followed behind, her eyes fixed on the cowboy's back. The snow continued to fall, casting a serene silence over their little group. Challenges ahead. The journey was not without its challenges. The snow grew deeper, and the wind picked up, making every step a struggle. The cowboy knew that they had to keep moving or risk being trapped in the wilderness. He pushed on, his determination driving him forward. A new beginning. As they finally reached the town, the cowboy felt a sense of relief wash over him. They had made it. The girl, the woman, and the baby were safe, at least for the time being. The cowboy knew that their journey was far from over, but for now, he was content to have taken the first step towards helping them. As they walked into the town, the cowboy felt a sense of hope that he hadn't felt in a long time. Maybe, just maybe, this was the start of something new. Settling in. The cowboy helped the girl, the woman, and the baby settle into a small cabin on the outskirts of town. He had paid for their lodging and food for the next few weeks, hoping to give them a chance to get back on their feet. As they sat by the fire, warming themselves up, the cowboy couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction. He had done something good, something that would make a difference in their lives. Stories shared. As the night wore on, the cowboy learned more about their story. The woman's name was Sarah, and she had been a widow for over a year. The girl's name was Emily, and she had taken on the responsibility of caring for her baby brother, James. They had been living on the streets, struggling to survive, until they had met the cowboy. As they shared their story, the cowboy felt a deep sense of connection to them. A new family. Over the next few weeks, the cowboy found himself spending more and more time with Sarah, Emily, and James. He had never felt this way about anyone before, but he couldn't deny the sense of belonging he felt when he was with them. He started to think of them as his family, and he knew that he would do anything to protect and care for them. Challenges ahead. But just as things were starting to look up, challenges began to arise. The cowboy's past caught up with him, and he found himself facing old enemies who were determined to destroy him. Sarah, Emily, and James were in danger, and the cowboy knew that he had to do everything in his power to keep them safe. Standing strong. The cowboy stood tall, facing his enemies with a fierce determination. He knew that he couldn't let them harm the people he loved. With a fierce cry, he charged forward, fighting to protect Sarah, Emily, and James. The battle was intense, but in the end, the cowboy emerged victorious. Chapter 16, A New Beginning. As the dust settled, the cowboy looked around at the people he loved. They were safe, and they were together. He knew that they still had challenges ahead of them, but he was ready to face them head-on. The cowboy smiled, feeling a sense of hope and renewal that he hadn't felt in years. A family united. As they walked away from the battlefield, the cowboy put his arm around Sarah's shoulders. Emily and James walked beside them, holding hands. They were a family, united in their love for each other. The cowboy knew that he had found his place in the world, and he was grateful for it. A future bright. As they looked out at the horizon, the cowboy knew that their future was bright. They would face challenges, of course, but they would face them together. The cowboy smiled, feeling a sense of peace and contentment that he had never known before. A love found. As the sun began to set, the cowboy turned to Sarah and took her hand. He looked into her eyes, and he saw the love and adoration shining back at him. He knew that he had found his soulmate, and he was grateful for it. A new life. As the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, the cowboy knew that he had found his new life. He was no longer alone, wandering the wilderness. He was part of a family that loved and accepted him for who he was. The cowboy smiled, feeling a sense of joy and contentment that he had never known before. The cowboy, Sarah, Emily, and James settled into a routine, building a life together. They found a small plot of land on the outskirts of town and began to build a home. The cowboy worked tirelessly, hammering nails and sawing wood, as Sarah and the children helped with the finishing touches. As the months passed, their family grew. Sarah gave birth to a baby boy, and they named him after the cowboy's father. The children thrived, and the cowboy found himself surrounded by the love and laughter of his family. The cowboy's ranch began to thrive, with cattle grazing in the nearby fields and a garden overflowing with fresh produce. The family worked together, from dawn till dusk, to build a life filled with purpose and meaning. As the years went by, the cowboy and Sarah's love continued to grow. They would sit on the porch, watching the sunset, and reminisce about their journey. The cowboy would take Sarah's hand, and she would smile, knowing that their love had endured through the toughest of times. The cowboy's story became a legend, told and retold around campfires and in town squares. People spoke of the cowboy who had found love and redemption in the unlikeliest of places. And as the cowboy grew old, surrounded by his family, he knew that his legacy would live on, a testament to the power of love and redemption. The cowboy's final ride was a peaceful one, surrounded by the beauty of nature and the love of his family. He looked out at the horizon, knowing that he had lived a good life, filled with purpose and meaning. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, the cowboy closed his eyes, his heart at peace. The cowboy's family continued to thrive, with his children and grandchildren growing up to be strong, kind, and courageous. They remembered the cowboy's story, passing it down from generation to generation, and they lived their lives according to the values he had instilled in them. The cowboy's legacy lived on, a reminder to all who heard his story of the power of love, redemption, and the human spirit. And as the years went by, his story continued to inspire, a testament to the enduring power of the human heart. The town held a final tribute to the cowboy, a celebration of his life and legacy. People came from all around, sharing stories and memories of the cowboy and his family. And as they stood together, surrounded by the beauty of nature, they knew that the cowboy's spirit would live on, a reminder of the transformative power of love and redemption. The cowboy's story came to an end, but his legacy lived on, a testament to the enduring power of the human heart. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the landscape, the cowboy's family knew that they would always carry his memory with them, a reminder of the love, laughter, and adventure they had shared together. Years passed, and the cowboy's family continued to thrive. His children grew up, got married, and had children of their own. The ranch became a prosperous business, with the cowboy's grandchildren and great-grandchildren working together to keep it running. One day, a stranger arrived at the ranch. He was an old man, dressed in worn leather and carrying a weathered saddlebag. He introduced himself as Jack, a former outlaw who had ridden with the cowboy's old gang. Jack had heard about the cowboy's passing and had come to pay his respects. Jack spent the evening sharing stories of the cowboy's adventures, of the gang's exploits, and of the cowboy's eventual redemption. The family listened, entranced, as Jack brought the cowboy's story to life. As Jack prepared to leave, he turned to the family and said, "Your ancestor was a good man, a man of honor and principle. He made mistakes, but he always tried to do the right thing. I'm proud to have known him." The family smiled, knowing that the cowboy's legacy lived on. Jack mounted his horse and rode off into the sunset, leaving the family to ponder the stories he had shared. They knew that they would never forget the cowboy's story, and that they would always strive to live up to his example. As the years passed, the cowboy's great-grandchildren grew up, hearing stories of his adventures and exploits. They learned to ride and rope, and they explored the wilderness, just as the cowboy had done before them. The cowboy's great-great-grandson sat on his horse, looking out at the vast expanse of the wilderness. He felt a strange sense of connection to the land, to the cowboy's story, and to the values that the cowboy had lived by. The boy smiled, knowing that the cowboy's spirit lived on, guiding him on his own journey. The cowboy's story came full circle, as the boy realized that the cowboy's greatest legacy was not his adventures or his exploits, but the love he had shared with his family. The boy knew that he would always carry the cowboy's story with him, and that he would strive to live up to the cowboy's example. The boy rode off into the sunset, ready to start his own journey, armed with the values and principles that the cowboy had lived by. The cowboy's story would live on, inspiring generations to come. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the landscape. The cowboy's story had come to an end, but his legacy would live on, a reminder of the enduring power of love, redemption, and the human spirit. The boy, now a young man, returned to the ranch, eager to start his own life. He had spent years learning the ways of the wilderness, and he was ready to put his skills to the test. The family welcomed him back with open arms, and he settled into a routine of ranching and exploring. One day, a mysterious stranger arrived at the ranch. He was tall, with piercing eyes and a scar above his left eyebrow. He introduced himself as Max, and he asked for work on the ranch. The family was hesitant at first, but there was something about Max that put them at ease. As Max worked on the ranch, the family began to notice strange occurrences. Tools would go missing, and strange noises could be heard in the night. It became clear that Max was hiding something, but the family couldn't quite put their finger on what it was. One night, the young man confronted Max about his strange behavior. Max revealed that he was, in fact, a former outlaw, hiding from the law. The young man was shocked, but he also saw something in Max that gave him hope. The young man decided to give Max a chance to redeem himself. He offered Max a place on the ranch, and Max accepted. As they worked together, the young man saw the good in Max, and he knew that he had made the right decision. Max became a valued member of the family, working hard on the ranch and earning their trust. The family grew to love him, and he became a part of their lives. The young man realized that everyone deserves a second chance. He had seen the good in Max, and he had given him a chance to redeem himself. The young man knew that he would always carry this lesson with him. The ranch continued to thrive, with Max as a valued member of the family. The young man knew that he had made the right decision, and he was excited to see what the future held. The cowboy's legacy continued to live on, as the young man and Max worked together on the ranch. They faced challenges and overcome obstacles, but they always remembered the values that the cowboy had instilled in them. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the landscape. The young man and Max sat on the porch, watching the sunset, and knowing that they had found a new family in each other. The cowboy's story had come full circle, and his legacy would live on forever.